Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's best friend as well as business partner, had a quote that changed the way how I do business. And the quote goes this way. He talks about the process of inversion and to always invert. What this means is that instead of asking, how do I succeed? Ask, how do I fail? And then do the exact opposite. So knowing this, here's exactly what I did. I went through every single conversation I had with wholesalers in the last few months, especially wholesalers that are doing very, very well in the markets, as well as wholesalers that are struggling to stay afloat. And with this information, I made a list of exactly all the things that it would take to destroy a wholesaling business. And here's the craziest part. Of all of these investors that I spoke to, they at some point in time have made the exact same mistakes in the exact same categories. So if you want to guarantee failure in your wholesaling business, here's your playbook. Do exactly what I'm about to say. And if you want to succeed, the point is to do the exact opposite. So with that said, let's break it down. As I mentioned, most people fail for predictable reasons. They don't fail because of bad luck of the market or the economy. They fail because they make the exact same avoidable mistakes over and over again. And if you can identify these mistakes before you make them, you could literally engineer your way to success. So we're going to be going over 3 main categories as to how to destroy your wholesaling business. The first one is marketing and lead generation. More specifically, how to waste your money and get garbage leads that never convert into deals. The second thing is sales and acquisitions. So how do you never close a deal as well as build a team that cannot close deals? And the third thing is operations and systems. How to create chaos and eventually cause you to burn out. So let's dive in. The first one is marketing. How to burn your money extremely fast. So the first thing that I see investors do that absolutely destroy their results when it comes to doing any sort of marketing or lead generation is splitting their budgets across 5, 6 to 7 different marketing channels, especially when they have such a low marketing budget and are just starting out. Here's typically what I see. Somebody will hire 2 VAs to cold call and spend $1,000, $2,000 a month. They'll spend another $1,000 on direct mail and then maybe another $1,000 on Facebook or Google ads. The problem here is that yes, somebody may have told you to do all these different marketing channels because they have the budget for it. But the challenge is when you're first starting out, every dollar counts, right? When you're starting out, trying to get your first few deals or your next few deals, you don't have $10,000 to waste or not waste, but invest into different marketing channels to test what works. You have to make the most out of the capital that you had. And most wholesalers I speak to can allocate anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 per month. So the problem with this is that when you have such a small budget and you're diversified across all these different platforms, all these different marketing channels, you don't give it enough volume for each marketing channel to do its thing, right? Because if you're spending $1,000 a month on direct mail, you're going to send out a few mailers and you might get a few responses back. And if you're lucky, you might get a deal. That's about it. Right? It's not going to be enough to get enough volume to be consistent, right? So you're better off taking, let's say, your $2,000 to $3,000 per month and allocating it into one marketing channel and fully committing to it, making sure it performs consistently, and then using the profits from that one marketing channel and scaling it to other marketing channels. The silliest thing that I see is that a newbie investor will watch a podcast from a big investor who's spending $20,000, $30,000, or even $40,000 per month in 3 different marketing channels and think that they should do the exact same thing, right? But this guy has a way bigger budget than you starting out, so he has more volume and he has more money to test with. When you're starting out, find something and just stick to it. Otherwise, you're going to burn all of your money. The second reason why people fail with their marketing is what I call the 30-day demon. The easiest and the fastest way to waste your money is to start a new lead source, give it only 30 days, and if you don't see immediate results, as in a deal closing, absolutely quit and move on to the next shiny object. The problem with this is that most people that do this don't really understand how sales cycles, especially in the real estate space, work. So here's a reality check. Most real estate deals take anywhere from 60 to 90 days to close from the first initial contact. So if you're an investor, you just launched a new marketing campaign and you quit on day 30, you're basically walking away before the money even gets a chance to show up. So here's what I would suggest instead, and this is a common trait that I see from most successful investors, especially our clients and the ones that I speak to. They typically commit anywhere from 3 to 4 months to a lead source to try it to determine whether or not it's working for them and their business. They focus on tracking the metrics, optimizing around the results, and staying patient. So a marketing lesson that I learned from a mentor is that the people who quit early fund the people who stay. So if you're going to commit to a marketing channel, commit to it for at least 3 to 4 months before cutting off the cord. The third reason why people fail, especially on the marketing, is what I like to call Mr. No Data. So when I speak to an investor, the easiest way for me to determine whether or not they know what they're doing or they absolutely are clueless is based off of what metrics they're tracking and the quality of those metrics. So if you're talking to an investor, if I talk to an investor and he has to guess his KPIs, for example, if I ask him what's his cost per lead and he starts with, I think it is XYZ, I'm like, yeah, this guy should know this number to a T, right? Because it's his business. Why are you guessing, right? So guessing and feeling your way through the business is a guaranteed way to fail, right? Because now you're operating off of emotions and feelings as opposed to logic and data. So the solution to this is very simple. You want to track every metric you can and truly understand what each metric means for your company, as well as how to manipulate it to get the best possible outcomes for your company. Some of the metrics that I like to track is cost per lead. What is your cost per marketing qualified lead, or MQL? MQL appointment, it's the exact same thing. I just say MQL because I'm a marketer. You can call it a cost per shown appointment. It's the same thing. I also like to track lead to appointment rate. So how many leads does it take for me to get a phone call appointment or an in-person appointment? The next one is lead to contract. I want to know how many leads does it take for me to get at least one contract. With Google, PPC is typically anywhere from 1 out of 8 to 1 out of 10 leads, right? The next one is appointment to contract. Of the appointments that I go on or have over the phone, how many of them actually convert into a contract? This, for example, tells me how good my closer is, right? Is there something I need to do on the sales process, all the acquisitions end? The next thing I need to know is contract to close. Out of the 10 contracts that I could get on a monthly basis, how many of them actually make it to the closing table, right? Because if half my deals fall through, that means I need to work at twice as much to get the same number of deals closed, right? What is my average assignment fee, right? How much am I making per deal that I close? What is my return on ad spend? Obviously, return on ad spend is basically the name of the game. And the final metric that I typically like to track is cash conversion cycle. And basically what this metric means is from the day that I invest money into marketing, how long is that period, that delta, until I get paid back from the deal closing? So this is a simple guide that I like to track as a starting point that I have all of our clients track and we track on their behalf so we can make data-driven decisions as opposed to just guessing and feeling what we should do with our marketing. Now on to section 2, sales and acquisitions. How do we build a team that sucks so bad, makes your life miserable while burning all of your marketing budget? The best way to do it, number 1, is to hire bad, inexperienced closers, believing you can train them to be as good as you. Here's one thing I want to share with you guys. Closing deals is what I would like to call a player position, while managing closers is a coaching position. These are two completely different skill sets. I'll give you guys a story. So we had a client very recently who's been absolutely crushing. He's been with us for almost 9 or 10 months now. And this guy murdered it right out of the gate, and he's still murdering it until he brought on an acquisition manager. Because for the longest time, he's getting all the lead flow because he's got JV deals, he's got lead submissions, he's got inbound leads. So he has endless amount of deal flow. So he's just closing everybody himself. So the next step is to hire a closer, right? But the challenge here is that he doesn't really have experience managing and hiring closers. So he brought in 2 or 3 people, none of them panned out, and now he's still back on the phone, which is not a bad thing, but his goal is to slowly step out of it. That way he could scale the company, because currently he is still a one-man show. The biggest mistake that he made, as well as me and many other people, is that we believe that we could just pick anybody off the street, train them, give them our script, give them a few call recordings, and all of a sudden they're closing the way we do. But these are two completely different skill sets, right? At the end of the day, coaching is a skill in of itself, and closing is a skill in of itself. They're two different skill sets. They're two different islands. They're separate. You can't combine them and intermingle them, right? Or else you're going to just churn and burn sales reps over and over again. The entire point, the entire objective of hiring is to hire people better than you. That way they could take the role off your hands. A limiting belief that I had that really stunted my growth within not only my companies, but our clients' companies, is believing that we are the best closer and nobody's better than us. But believe it or not, there are people that are better than you. The question is why are they not working for you? Most of the time, it's because they're working for somebody else, right? So the question then becomes, how do we get those people that are already doing well at these other companies to come join us? That way we are not the bottleneck when it comes to the growth, right? Because if you're the best person on your entire team, the growth of the company is limited to how smart and intelligent you are as a person. So you want to hire people that are better than you within their respective roles. You see, inexperienced people, they don't know what works. Inexperienced closers who have never sold or closed deals before, especially in real estate, they don't know what works. They don't know how to be dynamic on the phones. They don't know how to build rapport, feel the seller out, especially over the phone. And at the end of the day, that's going to affect your close rate. And as a result, your marketing budget goes to waste. So the solution to this is very simple, but it is not easy. I want to make something very clear. Hiring great people is not easy. It sounds simple, but it absolutely is not easy. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to hire great closers. So my rule of thumb is to be extremely picky when you're hiring closers, because at the end of the day, they're the spokesperson within your company, because these are who the sellers are going to be speaking to. And a bad acquisition manager, a bad closer could ruin your reputation. So you absolutely do not want that. The second way to absolutely destroy your wholesale company within the acquisitions department is giving your acquisition managers bad compensation structure. For example, if you pay them too much, there's not going to be any profit left behind, and they have the leverage to absolutely destroy your company if you quit. I've seen some wholesalers just give the farm away to their acquisition managers, and I love that they're so generous. But at the end of the day, you got a family to feed yourself. You got bills to pay yourself. Don't give them the entire thing, especially when you're taking all the risk of investing money into marketing, building the company, etc. On the contrary, if you pay them too little, you'll never attract any good talent. And if you do, if you attract anyone, as a matter of fact, they're probably going to do the bare minimum just to hit their number and move on. So you're never going to get them to work late nights or weekends. And that's exactly what we want from closers, because at the end of the day, most of the time, these are commission-only jobs. And the third thing to absolutely destroy your acquisitions team is to never train them, micromanage every little thing that they do, and do not have a process. Here's the thing. Wholesaling is full of chaos. So why don't you add more chaos by hiring acquisition managers and just telling them, hey, go figure it out. You're a smart guy. If you don't have any structured onboarding, no sales playbooks, no processes, or even keeping them accountable, you're going to destroy your acquisitions team, and they will leave quicker than they joined. I promise you that, because I've made this mistake way too many times. So the solution to this is to build an acquisition manager playbook that gives them everything they need to know. So on top of just having an acquisition manager playbook that breaks down the entire sales process from A to Z, you also have to make sure that they're accountable, right? And you do this by doing daily call reviews and daily call huddles to make sure that everybody's aligned. You guys are driving the company forward, hitting your hot list, making sure everybody's hitting projections, etc. That way nobody is left behind. Nobody wakes up knowing, oh, what do I do today? You don't want that, especially in salespeople, because they will literally just go fuck off, and we don't want that. And the third and final section of how to destroy your wholesaling company, we're going to be talking about operations and systems. Here's how to create maximum chaos, because apparently buyers backing out and title companies being silly is not enough. So why not add more, right? The first thing, a decentralized tech stack, right? If you're going to use one CRM for leads, 5 different CRMs for contracts and data tracking, random Google Docs as, your dispo documents, and then your ClickUp is used for acquisition manager SOPs, Slack, Discord, iMessages, all combined with 5 different group chats for communication. Everything's going to be the absolute mess. Nothing centralized, nothing syncs, nothing's talking to each other. The information is everywhere, but also nowhere, right? And finding anything is going to be impossible, right? This is why deals get left through the cracks, right? The communication is all over the place, right? The acquisition manager is like, oh, do I text him on iMessage or should I just email him, right? You're going to call the leads twice. They're going to send 2 nurture sequences or blasts to the same sellers, so they're getting the same message twice as opposed to just once, right? This is exactly what you don't want. You want one CRM where you host everything. You can do Go High Level, RE Simply, which are 2 of my favorites, as well as Close. is also a really good one. The only thing is it's a little expensive. You want one source of truth, right? You want one dashboard, whether that's a spreadsheet or a Plecto dashboard that tells you everything you need to know, centralized. So you have a few softwares, 3 to 5 softwares that run the entire company, right? You use a Google Drive for all your SOPs. The second thing in regards to your operations is not having any standard operating procedures or playbooks. Here's the problem. There's some wholesalers and on their teams, people just do whatever the hell they want, right? They want to sell this way, this guy sells this way. This guy wants to talk to a seller this way, he talks to him this way. There's no like alignment. So you mix the sellers and you call in different people, it just becomes an absolute shit show. We do not want that. Right? If there's no documented process, there's no checklist, there's no scorecards, there's no systems, one person's going to come to you asking you, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? And the answer is just figure it out. You're guaranteed to fail, right? It's easy to just tell somebody to figure it out because if they have any common sense, they probably will. But long term, if you're trying to really scale and hit 6 figures per month consistently, it's going to be very, very difficult. So here's what you need to do instead. You want to document everything. You want to have SOPs for your marketing, your sales process, beginning, middle, and end of day, how to KPI track, how you underwrite deals, examples, how to send contracts, the disposition process, how to work the CRM, everything. The mindset that I have that I tell not only for myself, my team, but for our clients is to basically get to a point where you want to franchise the business. You want the entire business to be ran on a single Google Drive. That's what we want, because in that Google Drive folder, there's going to be different departments. There's going to be marketing, there's going to be sales, there's going to be dispo, there's going to be transaction coordinating, there's going to be company operations. And in those specific folders, there's documents, there's SOPs that are just playbooks of what to do when what happens. And that's how you're going to scale the company and, more importantly, remove yourself from the company and have the freedom that most people get into the business for. So that's exactly how you would destroy your business if you really, really wanted to. Now, if you're watching this and you made it to the end, I don't want you to destroy your wholesaling business. It doesn't benefit me. It definitely doesn't benefit you, right? So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the entire purpose of inverting is to identify everything that we are not supposed to do and then do the exact opposite. And this is how, if you just do the exact opposite of everything I just said, this is how you're going to scale your wholesaling business, right? All the action items that you need were in this video. You just have to take it and do the exact opposite. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys got value out of it. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment any questions, concerns, topics that you would also like me to talk about. And if you are an established wholesaler already, you have your processes in place, you have a good operation, but you want to make it great, there should be a link in the description. I want to help wholesalers like you specifically go from $50,000 per month to $200,000 or even $300,000 per month, right? We're going to give you the exact same playbooks from A to Z for every single department. That way you can just plug it in and execute, right? We've done all the hard work already. We've already tested it. We already know what works. Now it's the time for us to plug it into your business. That way you can get similar results, if not better. With that said, my name is Benjamin. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.